William G. Gravlin, a firefighter from Royal Oak, faced a tragic series of events in his life. Born on June 4, 1934, he became known for his infamous actions that occurred between 1961 and 1968. In 1961, Gravlin was convicted of assaulting his cousin's wife, leading to his commitment at the Pontiac State Hospital. Upon his release, Gravlin's life took a devastating turn. His marriage fell apart as his wife sought a divorce, leaving him in a state of emotional distress. The profound impact of these events culminated in a horrifying act that shook the community to its core. Several days later, Gravlin committed an unspeakable crime, taking the lives of his wife, their 5-year-old daughter, and his 5 stepchildren. Gravlin employed a double-edged axe to brutally end the lives of 6 victims, while his own daughter fell victim to a shotgun. As if to add another layer of anguish, he left handwritten notes of apology on the bodies of each victim, further revealing the depths of his disturbed mindset. Acknowledging the gravity of his actions, Gravlin admitted his guilt in these heinous crimes. However, during the initial stages of legal proceedings, he was deemed unfit to stand trial due to his mental state. Consequently, he spent 3 years at the Iona State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, receiving treatment and evaluation. In 1968, following his restoration of competency, Gravlin faced trial, where he was ultimately found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment. This final verdict aimed to bring some semblance of justice to the devastating loss inflicted upon the innocent victims and the shattered community left in the wake of this horrifying tragedy. William Glenn Gravlin entered into matrimony with Bette Bentley, establishing their union as husband and wife. Gravlin embarked on a career path as a dedicated firefighter, serving the community of Royal Oak, Michigan, starting in June 1959. Prior to her marriage to Gravlin, Bette had previously been married and had 5 children from her previous relationship. Within their marriage, Gravlin and Bette were blessed with the birth of their daughter, Bette Sue, who arrived into the world around the year 1959. During the month of August in 1961, a distressing incident unfolded involving Gravlin and his cousin's wife. On a somber Monday afternoon, Gravlin resorted to using a knife as he inflicted harm upon the woman. He employed the blade to coerce the woman and her 4-year-old daughter to vacate their residence located at 1058 Henrietta in Troy, Michigan. In the midst of the ordeal, the woman's cries for help echoed through the air, prompting Gravlin to inflict a slash wound behind her left ear. The severity of the injury necessitated 5 stitches for proper medical attention. The subsequent day, authorities apprehended Gravlin as he walked shoeless along Rochester Road, near 17 Mile Road, in Troy. In a state of disarray, Gravlin claimed that his actions were shrouded in a haze due to his consumption of alcohol, leaving him with no recollection of the assault. He admitted to purchasing the knife on the morning of the attack, further highlighting the disturbing circumstances surrounding the incident. As a consequence of his actions, Gravlin received a sentence of 3 years of probation and was subsequently committed to the Pontiac State Hospital for the purpose of receiving treatment. Following his stay at the Pontiac State Hospital, Gravlin was granted convalescent leave in April 1962, signifying his initial release. Unfortunately, he faced the unfortunate consequence of losing his position as a firefighter. Seeking employment, Gravlin secured a job on an assembly line at Temprite Products Corporation, located in Birmingham, Michigan. Company representatives regarded Gravlin as a dependable and diligent worker, recognizing his commitment to his responsibilities. However, the challenges in Gravlin's life persisted. A significant incident occurred when he succumbed to alcohol intoxication, prompting his wife to take action and have him readmitted to the mental hospital in February 1963. Nevertheless, his journey to recovery continued, and he was once again granted convalescent leave in July 1963. Ultimately, Gravlin received his official release in July 1964, marking a significant step in his reintegration into society. Throughout this period, Gravlin's behavior and drinking habits were a cause for concern among those who knew him. A neighbor recollected that he frequently indulged in heavy drinking, noting that he exhibited unpredictable and uncontrollable behavior when under the influence. Such behavior left his wife living in constant fear. The troubled state of their relationship became evident when, 1 week prior to the tragic murders, Gravlin's wife made the difficult decision to seek a divorce. Subsequently, Gravlin relocated from their shared home and sought refuge with his mother in Clawson, Michigan. During the fateful night of Sunday, September 27, 1964, at the age of 30, Gravlin undertook a taxi ride from Clawson to a destination approximately 250 yards away from his family's residence situated at 2121 Garson in Troy, Michigan. The taxi dropped him off around 11 p.m., setting the stage for the tragic events that unfolded thereafter. In the early hours of Monday, September 28, 1964, Gravlin perpetrated a gruesome act, employing a large, double-bladed axe and a hammer as instruments of violence. His wife and 5 stepchildren fell victim to his merciless attack. Additionally, his own daughter, Beth Sue, met a tragic end, although her fate was delivered by a shotgun blast instead. A pathologist determined the time of their deaths to be around 2 a.m. The axe, stained with human blood and strands of hair, was discovered beneath the house, while the blood-soaked hammer was found in a bathroom. The devastating toll of Gravlin's actions was evidenced by the loss of 7 innocent lives, identified as follows: Beck Gravlin, his wife, aged 40, Betsue Gravlin, his daughter, aged 5, Ben Bentley, his 17-year-old stepson, Judith and Bentley, his 16-year-old stepdaughter, Dory Bentley, his 15-year-old stepdaughter, Paul Bentley, his 12-year-old stepson, and Walter Bentley, his 10-year-old stepson. The bodies were respectfully covered with blankets. The living room contained the remains of 3 victims, Judith and Dory, and Walter, while the bedrooms housed the bodies of his wife and 2 stepchildren, Ben and Paul. Tragically, his daughter Betsue was discovered in the bathroom, accompanied by a Bible, as the bathtub became a macabre scene drenched in deeply red-stained water, a result of the bloodshed. As an additional eerie detail, Gravlin left notes of apology, scribbled on torn scraps of paper towel, beside each lifeless body. Addressing his 5-year-old daughter, he wrote, "Susie, I love you with all my heart." The note to his wife was partially illegible, but a discernible portion conveyed his sentiment: "Bet, I loved you and Susie most of all, and I can't change it. But if I could, you know the answer. Please forgive me and let me just be you." According to an account by the Associated Press, the notes contained the words, "I love you, I'm sorry, it couldn't be helped." These disturbing messages served as chilling remnants of remorse and despair left behind by Gravlin, further underscoring the tragic nature of the events that unfolded that horrific day. Following the gruesome murders, Gravlin embarked on a haunting journey that unfolded in the aftermath of his heinous actions. He made his way on foot to a nearby gas station situated at the intersection of 15 Mile Road and John R., approximately half a mile from the crime scene. An attendant at the station, Robert Hurston, testified that Gravlin arrived at around 6:30 a.m. There, he utilized a telephone and consumed several bottles of Coca-Cola, totaling between 4 to 6 bottles. Around 8 a.m., Gravlin hailed a taxi, which transported him back to Clawson. Consumed by despair, he made attempts on his own life by ingesting sleeping pills and whiskey. When this method proved ineffective, he resorted to purchasing Thailand bathroom cleaner, intending to drink the toxic substance. However, he was unable to carry out this plan, instead pouring the corrosive liquid on himself, resulting in chemical burns on his chest. Later that day, as Gravlin continued to wander, a concerned motorist named Earl Stone from Hazel Park noticed him walking down the street and stopped to offer assistance. Gravlin confided in Stone, revealing the horrific truth that he had taken the lives of his family. He implored Stone to contact the police, prompting Stone to fulfill his plea. Madison Heights police officer Ronald F. Pierce promptly responded to the call, encountering Gravlin walking along a dirt road. Pierce inquired about the situation, to which Gravlin admitted to the murders and requested to be taken to the police station. Law enforcement authorities swiftly reacted to the unfolding events. They proceeded to the Gravelin residence, where they discovered the lifeless bodies. Troy Police Chief Forrest O. Fisher, upon witnessing the unimaginable crime scene, attested to its harrowing nature, expressing that it surpassed anything he had ever encountered before. Dr. Richard E. Olson, the chief pathologist responsible for examining the bodies at the scene, echoed the sentiment, remarking that the level of brutality surpassed his prior experiences, except for those witnessed in the horrors of war. During his immediate arraignment on September 28 at the Troy Municipal Court, Gravelin expressed his guilty plea. However, despite his admission, Judge Charles H. Losey entered a plea of not guilty on Gravelin's behalf. This legal discrepancy set the stage for subsequent hearings and evaluations to determine Gravelin's mental state. In October 1964, a competency hearing took place, featuring testimony from Dr. Abraham Tauber, who had initially examined Gravelin in 1961. Dr. Tauber affirmed that Gravelin suffered from schizophrenia and lacked full capacity to contribute to his own defense. According to Dr. Tauber, Gravelin referred to his deceased family members in the present tense, and he had previously attempted suicide by consuming a solvent. Another psychiatrist, Dr. George S. Avseef, testified that while Gravelin displayed signs of a character disorder associated with psychosis, he was capable of assisting his attorney. Oakland Circuit Judge James Thorburn ruled on October 29 that Gravelin was competent to stand trial. However, at the request of Gravelin's attorney, he was transferred to the Washtenaw County Jail to undergo further examination by two psychiatrists from the University of Michigan. On November 19, 1964, the Gravelin residence experienced significant damage due to an arson fire. The living room floor was doused with oil, resulting in fire damage to both the living room and one of the bedrooms. This unsettling incident further added to the tragic events surrounding the case. In early January 1965, Gravelin made another suicide attempt by rubbing his wrists against a broken window. He openly admitted to the attempt, attributing it to harassment from fellow inmates. On January 14, 1965, following a review of a second psychiatric assessment that concluded Gravelin was not competent to stand trial, Judge Thorburn ordered his commitment to the Ionia State Hospital for the criminally insane. Gravelin's mental state continued to be a point of evaluation and concern throughout the legal proceedings. In November 1967, the medical superintendent at the Ionia State Hospital, A. Berzagalis, reported to the court that Gravelin had developed an understanding of the charges against him. Subsequently, after hearing additional testimony from psychiatrists, Judge Thorburn ruled in December 1967 that Gravelin was indeed competent to stand trial, marking a significant turning point in the legal proceedings. In January 1968, Gravelin's legal representatives decided to waive his right to a trial by jury, opting instead for a bench trial presided over by Judge Thorburn. The proceedings took place at the Oakland County Circuit Court in Pontiac, Michigan, extending over a period of more than 3 weeks. Notably, the trial focused solely on the death of Gravelin's 16-year-old stepdaughter, Judith Ann Bentley. During the trial, Dr. William Gordon, a psychiatrist from Detroit, provided his expert opinion, asserting that Gravelin possessed an awareness of right and wrong, harbored the intention to kill, and acted upon his desires. Following careful consideration, Judge Thorburn delivered his verdict, concluding that although the murders were a direct result of the defendant's mental illness, Gravelin remained legally sane and possessed the capacity to distinguish between right and wrong at the time of the crimes. In April 1968, Judge Thorburn handed down the sentence, compelling Gravelin to serve a mandatory life imprisonment term.